Small talk is so critical. I was reading this study that said 55% of relationships, both professional and personal, are formed through small talk and casual interactions. A study done by the University of Oxford. And it says that 80% of conversations in the workplace involve some form of small talk. That's Harvard Business Review. If I want to be a master at small talk, is there anything else that I need to know? I really struggle with small talk.
3-2-1. I tell my students 3-2-1, which is 3 steps, 2 types, or the one thing. So just have that in the back of your head. There are 3 steps to something, there are 2 types of something, or the one thing is. So when someone's talking to you, you want to keep it fairly brief and you want to kind of minimize that small talk and you don't want to turn it into big talk. They'll talk to you about something and you go, the one thing about building a personal brand is X, Y, Z, or just X, right? So you go, the one thing about personal branding, if I could share with you now, is the importance of being consistent. Hey, so good to meet you. Let's take a quick selfie. And then you go. So again, you have that framework in your head. Whereas before, when people ask me, hey, Vin, what should I do with my communication skills? I got stuck in the trap of, oh man, I've just heard you talk. There are so many things that I can tell you. I can tell you immediately now, there are 8 things you probably should start focusing on in this sequence. But then now it turns into something I don't want it to be. So now I have that framework. I just think, all right, so in response to this, can I go down to 3 steps to what they're saying? The 2 types of what they're saying, or the one thing about what they're saying is this?
And do you think I should have some
nuggets,
some questions in my back pocket that I roll out frequently? Some pre-prepared small talk things that aren't, have you seen the weather?
Yeah. You should. And these are important. And you can create your own. I mean, I love the what do you do in your free time? I really enjoy that question because it opens up so many doors to so many interesting things that people do, as opposed to them telling me what they do for a job. Because we've heard this many times before. When someone asks you what they do for a living, I'm trying to understand where you are in the status hierarchy. Right? So I love what do you do in your free time? I genuinely love that question. And have a list of 3 to 4 questions. Just have them in your back pocket. That framework of 3-2-1, though, that allows you to get out of that small talk in a brief manner. They ask you a question about personal branding. Oh, there's 2 types of personal branding. Oh, hey, the 3 steps to personal branding are. Or, hey, the one thing about personal branding is, hey, good luck. So good to see you. Let's take a quick selfie.
Is there an art to having a difficult conversation? So say someone has been, always interrupts me at work. I need to...
Do you know why it happens, though?
Why?
Because of low levels of physical and low levels of vocal presence. If I talk to you like this, and I'm going to share a really good idea with you, and it's so easy to interrupt this person. So you have to fix that at a foundational level. You have to increase your vocal presence. You have to increase your physical presence because it's infinitely harder to interrupt this version of Vin as opposed to the version of Vin you just experienced before. That's the first thing I would say. At a foundational level, that's what you want to fix. And again, that's to do with volume, that's to do with hand gestures, power sphere, all the things we've spoken about. And by leveling that up, it's much harder to interrupt this person.
I couldn't interrupt this guy.
It's harder.
Yeah.
Whereas all of a sudden, people aren't aware of that. And they think, oh, people interrupt me just because people are rude. No, it's because you haven't indicated that you're taking the floor right now. This is why I say to people who get interrupted all the time, all right, here's another simple strategy. If everyone's sitting around a team meeting, stand when you're about to deliver your point. Because when you stand, you now have more physical presence. So all of a sudden, people won't interrupt you as long as you're standing because I'm still talking. The biggest objection people have to the pause is they say, oh, but if I pause, people will interrupt me. Not if you're standing. If you're standing and you pause, it's clearly a pause for effect. I'm still taking the floor. Right? So there are so many other things you could do to prevent it from happening. You can even prime the conversation. If you know there's a serial interrupter, sorry, I do this sometimes. If there's a serial interrupter in your environment, and I was just pointing at myself there, I don't interrupt because I want to be a jerk. Sometimes I feel like, oh, I want to add value. And that's, I want to give them the benefit of the doubt. That's what most of them want to do. But then there's the 1% that are just serial interrupters. I want to take the floor.
They don't respect you.
They don't respect you, yeah. I want that floor. That, very difficult. You have to have a private conversation with them outside. But to the 99% of people who are interrupting because they want to add value, you just need to prime the conversation. You just need to say, hey, look, to everyone in the team, I want to share my idea. If you give me 5 minutes, at the end of it, I would love to ask for your input. But I'd love to share my idea completely and wholly. Is that okay? And I just get them all to agree. And if they do butt in after I've said that, I can let them say the thing and I'll go, thanks, Stephen. I'm still sharing the idea. I'll come back to your question in a moment. And then you have to reclaim your land.
Do you think you have to mirror someone's, you talked about these 5 foundations.
Yeah.
Am I meant to mirror yours to relate and resonate with you?
It's one of the fastest ways to build rapport with someone. We learn about it through body language. I think a lot of people understand the concept of matching and mirroring when it comes to body language, right? If you come up to someone and you want to build rapport quickly and they've got big body language, if you do the same, then it will help them feel more connected to you, right? People rarely think about it with their voice. And that's the same thing. The years of going on stage and speaking, I've had so many people come up to me where, imagine someone comes up to me and they're like, oh, hey, Vin, that was an amazing keynote. And I took that same energy, Vin, on stage to go, oh, thank you so much for coming up. Hey, thank you, I appreciate it. You'd freak the hell out of them, right? So instead of that, I match and mirror their vocal foundations. I'm like, oh, hey, thank you so much for coming up. I know it's a bit scary to sometimes meet us, but when we fart, it still smells. So, hey, thank you so much for coming up and connecting with me. The idea is you don't stay there though. Mm-hmm. You meet them where they are and then you take them to where you want to go. So I'm meeting them where they are, so they're comfortable and we build rapport and connections. I'm like, oh, hey, so good to have you come up. Thank you so much. And hey, if you took a moment for a second, what was your favorite part? What did you really connect with when you were talking to me? So I met them where they are and then I slowly bring them to where I want to go. And it happens like magic, where you will see them slowly come out of their shell a little more. You've got to meet them where they are first.
To build that rapport, I've heard you talk about this thing called FORD.
Yes.
FORD.
We're talking about family, occupation, recreation, and dreams.
And what's the context there?
Well, these are the points of conversation that I could talk about if I wanted to engage with that person for a longer period of time. Instead of just thinking about what they do, that's what I always used to do. I always used to think about career, occupation. Oh, what do you do? I tend to default to that when I was in the keynote speaking career. But then FORD is just a wonderful acronym to go, well, there's so many other things we could talk about. There's so many other things we could talk about, right? I could talk about family, recreation, occupation, and your dreams.
And why does having a broader set of things to talk about cause more resonance and connection?
Because that interaction feels different to every other one.
Okay.
Otherwise, it always feels like occupation. It's always about occupation. I just love having extra things to be able to go to. Like the dreams, again, I love asking people that question. I love watching, there's a gentleman named Simon Squibb who's been able to own the brand of what is your dream, right? It's such a powerful question. And it causes people to pause and think, and what is my dream? It sometimes can lead to pain, sometimes leads to wonderful conversations.
There's something about the depth of the question, I think, as well, that just like...
It hits people.
Yeah.
It hits people.
Especially the vulnerable thing. When you started saying that you were struggling with too much.
Yeah.
There's something that changed in me. I was like, oh.
Yeah. He is human. That's why high-low buffalo is so powerful. And that's why I say it requires courage. Because I know that the moment people heard me say that, they clench their butt cheeks. They're like, oh, no, I don't really want to do that. But the moment you do it, it changes everything. It shows I'm human, shows I struggle, shows I've got things that aren't going that well.
When we had the conversation on the podcast with Vanessa about body language, one of the things that I saw in the comment section was people pointing out that in different cultures,
yes,
different rules apply.
Yes.
And it's kind of what I was saying earlier about being British. We're a bit more conserved.
Yeah.
Do you need to sort of overlay all this advice with cultural nuance?
100%. A motivational speaker from America coming to Australia doesn't work well. Because if they come to Australia, they're like, oh, get on your feet, let's start. Like, Australians are very skeptical, like those in the UK, and we kind of sit back, we're like, yeah, nah, mate, we just started. We're not doing that just yet. And that's why when American speakers come to Australia, they're like, oh, it takes them a long time to get into it. Because we're so skeptical in Australia too, right? I think we kept that as we went to Australia from the UK. And there's still that, so you've got to be sensitive to that. And before you go and speak in a certain country, I think it's very important to go, right, what are the cultural norms? And expose yourself to I've made mistakes before. Right? I've done the ultimate mistake. There's a bit in my keynote where I told my dad I wanted to leave accounting and become a magician. And my dad said, what the hell? You want to read a Harry Potter? Right? So I play, right? I play a little bit with the voice. And then I went to Asia and I did the same accent. No one laughed. And I went, right. No sensitivity there. I didn't realize it. They didn't find it funny because they're like, oh. Well,
yeah.
I was sweating bullets. And then they start to slowly realize, oh, he's taking the piss. Oh, and then the audience turns against you. I've done it wrong many times before. And again, that's how you learn. But people don't want to learn that way anymore. They don't want to pay the price of failure. That's the only way you learn.
And so many people hate hearing their own voice.
They do.
I remember the first time I heard my own voice, I couldn't believe it. When I was recording those little cassettes back in Plymouth when I was a kid.
Do you know why?
No.
It's because when you hear your own voice, you're hearing the vibrations through bone and muscle tissue. You're hearing those vibrations. So they sound deeper, more resonant to you. So when you hear your voice, you're like, ooh, I sound like Barry White. So you think you have this deep, rich voice because you're hearing it through a different medium. Whereas when you open your mouth and you speak to another person, the medium is not muscle and bone, it's through air. So it's less dense. So it sounds higher pitched. So one of the main reasons people hate it immediately is they go, oh, what? Why do I sound like this? Whereas in actual reality, it's because it's going through a different medium. One's going through bone and one's going through muscle. The other one's going through the air.
So this is why I thought I could sing, and then when I recorded singing and I played it back, I was dreadful.
Made the same error.
I couldn't believe it. I thought something was wrong with the recorder.
Yes, and that's what happens to everybody. And it's also the same thing with why people hate themselves on camera. It's because you see yourself in the mirror. And you see yourself the way you see yourself in the mirror. And then you see yourself in camera and it's flipped the other way. And you go, whoa, why I don't look like that? Why does this part of my face look different? Well, it's because that's what everybody else sees, but you've been looking at yourself in the mirror your entire life. You've been listening to yourself through bone tissue and muscle your entire life.
So how do I overcome that?
Desensitization. You have to listen to yourself. Do you still care about your voice? Do you still listen to it? Yeah, you don't care anymore. You love the sound of your voice now, don't you?
I wouldn't say I love it, but I'm so used to it. It doesn't make me cringe anymore.
Because you've desensitized.
Yeah.
Because you're now hearing what other people hear. And again, that's why you should record videos of yourself. And I still think that record and review thing, if that's the one thing you do after this, if you pick 3 things to change after you do that process, it's gonna radically shift the way you come across when you speak. Imagine you are only 3 changes away from completely transforming. That's all that it takes. I've seen my students do this time and time and time again, and I wish I was able to show you in these video examples when all of a sudden they just shift more melody, more volume, larger body language. It's a different human being. It's crazy. And again, I'm not saying be that all the time. It's now you having gears, right? It's like a car. Most people just one gear. And I'll bring that one gear, that one communication style to every interaction. Why is it not effective?
Do you think this whole introvert-extrovert thing is bullshit?
I asked my vocal teacher this, and I said, like, what's the difference? And she asked me this question in return where she said, that pianist you saw at the concert I took you to, if they're an extrovert, how would it be different when they play the piano? And if they're an introvert, how would it be different? And I said, I have no idea. She goes, it's the same thing. Just you're playing your instrument. The only difference between an introvert and extrovert is an introvert, they lose energy from social interaction. So you have to be highly diligent. You have to be highly diligent when you're expending that energy and you're playing the music for people. You have to be extremely diligent. Whereas those who are extroverts, they can play it for a longer extended period of time. So again, for an extrovert, it's just about choosing when you do that, choosing when you play beautifully, as opposed to, oh, I'm an introvert. I should just talk like this then because I'm an introvert. It's like, well, really?
Social anxiety. Some people do have like severe social anxiety. So many of the things, they might have clicked on this conversation because they're interested, but they have no belief in themselves that they could ever change because they literally, their body goes through almost like a panic attack when they're in these social situations. What do you say to those people?
It's the slow process of desensitization. It really is. I find it. Exposure therapy, yes. I find it, and I was that. I mean, the only reason I learned magic in my life was because I felt like I had no value. And I had to go learn a whole craft to have value so that I could be amazing, because by myself, I'm not amazing. That's why I learned magic, because I felt like I wasn't amazing. And then when I had this amazing thing, then everyone thought I was amazing. I was like, oh, I'm amazing now. But then one day I forgot my cards at school, and then all of a sudden I went home and I had some social interactions. I went, oh, I'm not amazing. What I'm trying to say here is, instead of picking something like magic and then using that as a crutch, because I did, and then in every conversation with you, I would have to do magic with you first before I do anything else. Because if I didn't, I don't feel confident. Now I feel like I have nothing to give. So to me, this is why I push communication skills so much. Let me share with you a story. Let me give you a little bit of context. When I was 13, I went to year 8 camp, freshman camp. I had a really good friend at the time named Kevin. I saw him playing ukulele around the fire camp. And for the first time, I saw Kevin talk to girls. Me and Kevin bonded over the fact we would never talk to girls because I couldn't do it, he couldn't do it, and we bonded over that. That night, he broke that trust. because he was talking to girls and he was playing his ukulele and he was amazing. And I felt so pissed off at him. I ran back to the cabin. And the next morning I went, oh, the only friend I have here is now talking to girls. And then the next morning I see him at the breakfast table by himself. I was like, what? This guy was the bee's knees last night and now he's by himself. What the frick? And I didn't understand that for the life of me. And then I experienced it in my life with cards. When I have a packet of cards, I could talk to anyone. But then when I didn't have my cards, I couldn't talk to anyone. I had crippling social anxiety. And I went, oh, this is what we call contextual confidence. Oh, interesting. So in certain contexts, I'm more confident. Even the people you're talking about who are anxious, there are certain contexts where they are contextually confident and they light up. There's a certain topic that if someone talks about it, they might think of themselves as being a bad communicator, but because that topic comes up, they now are a great communicator. Right? So then the idea of contextual confidence led me to really working out that communication skills is such a critical skill set. Why? Because if I master the use of my voice, if I master the use of my body language, I master the ability to storytell, can I leave my voice at home? Can I leave my body language? Can I leave my ability to storytell and connect with other people at home? You can't. Now you have this ability that follows you everywhere you go, meaning you become contextually confident in every single area of your life.
Do you get tired when you go home?
Yes, 100%.
I can imagine, because you are high energy.
Because I choose to give.
Yeah.
I'm consciously choosing to do that. And there are times when I choose not to. So that in the times where I do give, I can give you the best version of me. I didn't leave my... Our interview today was 4 p.m., right? Mm. I didn't leave the hotel room at all day.
Why?
Because I'm conserving that energy for you.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. And to the point where my videographer was asking me, he said, hey, dude, are you all right? And then he goes, look, just, and he was, I love him. He was so concerned about me. He goes, just wave to me outside of your window so I can see you. And I opened the door. I was like, oh, this door opens. And I waved. I was like, hey, Peter. And he's like, oh, cool.
Vomit on your sweater.
Because I didn't leave my hotel room, right? Because I was conscious of that. Crazy. I was just conscious of that.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
That's all right. I was already jet lagged. I didn't want to be shit.
No, but I can relate as well, because I sometimes wonder if energy is finite, or if...
Well, it is.
I do this podcast and then I'll go into the real world and I don't want to have... I'm depleted.
Yeah.
And I always wondered if that's something I could do something about, if I just need to buck up and just, try and
There's only so much of that you can do. And it is a limited supply. That's why it's so beautiful when someone is willing to sit and be present and play their instrument with you. Mm-hmm. Because it's a conscious thing. Whereas I used to approach every interaction with, bring the bare minimum. And I didn't understand that exchange of energy, you get so much more out of life when you give more. Not just with money and time, but with your energy.
Yes.
There's a transaction here that's happening, that's invisible. And I treat, it's so weird. And it doesn't happen because I have a lot of followers. Lots of people don't know who I am. On the way here, I got upgraded on my flight because I just built connection with the person. And I thought, you know what, this person's probably had a lot of boring conversations. I'm just gonna make them laugh. So I just spoke, make them laugh. And they're like, oh, and it happens. And I feel like I've just found this cheat code in life where I keep my energy when I need it. And when there are times I need it, I'll use the energy.
Like a currency.
Yeah, it is. And I didn't think they were going to give me an upgrade, but they did, which was so cool, right? And they felt good too.
You probably hypnotized them or something.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe
magic trick.
Yeah. It's it's an energy bribe.
If you love the Diary of a CEO brand and you watch this channel, please do me a huge favor. Become part of the 15% of the viewers on this channel that have hit the subscribe button. It helps us tremendously, and the bigger the channel gets, the bigger the guests.